What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Little T WWE Talk. Today is a special edition. I'm doing coverage from NXT takeover Phoenix and the Royal Rumble that took place last Saturday and last Sunday. Well, basically this Sunday. You guys get it. So first off, to start off NXT takeover, it was the Undisputed Era versus the War Raiders. And I'll tell you something, it was a treat to watch. It blew the roof off the place. Both teams were great. The War Raiders had this amazing entrance. It was kind of Viking-like, very, very intriguing. The Undisputed Era, of course, they're them. They're great. And they did such a great job of strategically not letting the War Raiders gain enough momentum for the majority of the match, until the War Raiders just busted that thing open and did their thing. And the Undisputed Era, their era came to a close. The War Raiders got them. So there you guys have it. War Raiders are now the NXT Tag Champs. Next up, we have Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno. This one was very interesting because I'm not too keen on either of them. I mean, Matt Riddle was definitely my favorite in this match. Very intriguing. Matt Riddle made a declarative statement, beat Cassius Ohno once again. So there you guys have that. Now, my personal favorite match of the night, Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American Championship. And boy, that was, in my opinion, match of the night. Ricochet and Johnny Gargano just threw it down. They were killing it. Ricochet is like the best high flyer in the world. Johnny Gargano's the best technician on NXT overall. So that was a treat. Johnny Gargano pulled it off. Johnny Gargano is now NXT North American Champion. Next up, we got the women of NXT. We've got Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair. Undefeated, like she says. But this one was a great physical contest. I mean, at this point at TakeOver, I feel like it was a little bit of bad placement just because Ricochet and Johnny Gargano just blew the roof off the place. The fans were so into it. And then Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler's matchup came, and it kind of just, the energy sunk just because I feel like people were so tired. So not the best placement for this match, but nonetheless, it was still a great match. Very physical. Bianca Belair took Shayna Baszler to her limit. Unfortunately, though, Shayna Baszler's a beast. She pulls it off, and she retains her championship. Next, for the main event, we have Aleister Black versus Tommaso Ciampa. This one was another treat. NXT always does such a great job. NXT always delivers. Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black, another physical confrontation. A really, really good match. If you guys didn't catch TakeOver, go watch it because it was great. But Tommaso Ciampa retained his championship against Aleister Black. There you guys have the results of TakeOver. Honestly, it was just a great TakeOver. I mean, it only had 5 matches, but it was phenomenal. Like, Triple H and Shawn Michaels definitely know what they're doing down there. Next up, guys, I have a special recap of the Royal Rumble and, you know, the overall pay-per-view, not just the 2 Rumbles. So, to start off, we're going to talk about the pre-show. The pre-show started at 5 o'clock, so the Royal Rumble was like 7 bajillion hours long. It was still good, though. Still good. So up on the pre-show, we had Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That one turned out to be a pretty good match. We had Lana getting involved, trying to help out Rusev, which of course never works. She ended up getting bumped off the apron, hurting her ankle. Rusev got distracted. Nakamura pulled it off. And there you have it. Nakamura's the new U.S. champion. Very, very fun match. It was definitely cool. I like how they threw Lana in there. They've been doing a pretty good job of that. Then we had the Cruiserweight Championship match. And boy, let me tell you, 205 Live is lit. L-I-T, exclamation point, lit. Buddy Murphy, oh my goodness, what can I tell you? This guy makes what he does look easy. He makes me feel like I can get up and do it. I won't try it though, because I can't afford a trip to the hospital. But I'll tell you, man, he pulled it off. He retained his championship against Kalisto, Hideo Itami, and who was the fourth one? Kalisto, Hideo Itami. Oh, and Akira Tozawa, he was the fourth one. And I'll tell you, Kalisto looked like a star. He was popping off in that match. I mean, they all had their great moments, but Buddy Murphy nonetheless pulled it off. So there you have it for your Cruiserweight Championship match. Next up, we had... This one was a little weird one. I never got this one, but I guess WWE wanted to squeeze a third match into the pre-show. We had AOP's, I believe it was Razor, because Akam was injured, and the Revival's Scott Dawson put together, and apparently the stipulation was that if Razor and Scott Dawson pulled off the win against Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, they were going to get a future opportunity at the Raw Tag Team Champions. But the thing was that it was a weird thing that WWE just did. You would think that they would have some sort of build or some sort of like something leading up to this match. They kind of just threw it in there. But nonetheless, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable pulled it off. So looks like AOP and the Revival won't be getting their shot at the Tag Championships. So that was the pre-show of the Royal Rumble. Total 3 matches. Now we're getting into the Rumble itself. To start off the Royal Rumble event, we have the SmackDown Live Women's Champion Asuka versus the man, Becky Lynch. So, this match was awesome. Let me just tell you this to begin. The women absolutely killed it at this Royal Rumble. There wasn't a bad match on the card from the women. So, Asuka, Becky Lynch... You know, Asuka's champion, Becky Lynch challenger. Asuka pulls it off. Asuka pulls it off with her Asuka lock. Man, I'll tell you, that thing is brutal. Becky Lynch looks like she was in a world of hurt when she tapped out. But it was such a good match. I don't have one single complaint. It was constantly back and forth. You know, the fans were definitely rowdy out there for Becky Lynch, but Asuka pulls it off. Asuka's a great champion. She's going to continue to dominate leading up to WrestleMania, hopefully. Next up, we had the best tag team in the world, Shane McMahon and The Miz versus The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. This was also a very entertaining match. I feel like leading into it, they did a great build up toward it. They made Sheamus and Cesaro look strong, but they also made Shane and The Miz look strong. So this was overall a strong match, very entertaining. Shane and Miz pulled it off, man. I don't know. I kind of like this dynamic. I'm not really that much of a fan of The Miz, but putting him with Shane McMahon definitely seems to be something good. He's definitely growing on me with this new best tag team in the world gimmick here they got going on. Next up, we have Sasha Banks versus Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Sasha Banks, of course, the challenger. Ronda Rousey, the Raw Women's Champion. This match was another treat. I'm telling you, the women killed it. They absolutely killed it. There wasn't a second in this match where I thought it could have been better. Sasha Banks was looking like Sasha Banks of old from NXT. She had her attitude, she had her confidence, she was oozing, she was countering, she looked great out there. Ronda Rousey, of course, such a pro. She's so great at what she does. Like I've said before, Ronda Rousey's like Rookie of the Year in my opinion. But nonetheless, Ronda Rousey retained. She made Sasha Banks tap. There you have it. Up next, we have the Women's Royal Rumble. This was a treat. This was definitely a treat. You know, there was some mixed opinions leading up to, you know, about the first Women's Royal Rumble. I honestly thought it was great, but a lot of people thought it was more for nostalgia and things like that. But this Royal Rumble was a completely different story. It was great. The women did a really good job. They stayed in the ring at all times also. That was another big one. So, starting off the Women's Royal Rumble, we have the lady of WWE, Lacey Evans, at number 1, and Natalya at number 2. They started off, you know, doing their thing. Some of the honorable mentions in this Royal Rumble was, of course, the NXT ladies. We had Xia Li, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Rhea Ripley from NXT UK, and Casey Catanzaro. Oh my goodness, man, these NXT ladies were definitely showing what they got. NXT is definitely up there, and they deserve to be recognized because NXT is phenomenal. Some highlights from this Royal Rumble was Naomi saved herself in a very cool fashion. She's kind of getting the reputation of the Kofi Kingston, you know, of the Women's Royal Rumble. She's always saving herself in a cool way. Casey also had a cool save. It was really good. I called her Spider-Gwen. It was really, really cool. So, the moment that everybody was waiting for. Lana was supposed to be number 28. However, you know, she had an ankle injury from earlier on the pre-show from getting bumped off the apron in the Rusev Nakamura match. So she was taking her sweet time getting out there. Of course, Nia Jax comes out, beats the living crap out of her, injures her ankle even more. Therefore, Lana cannot compete. Becky Lynch, who we saw versus Asuka in the first match of the night, comes out, starts pleading that Fit Finlay lets her in the Royal Rumble. And Lana cannot compete, therefore, she's allowed in the Royal Rumble. And as you guys probably know already, Becky Lynch pulls it off. She wins the second Women's Royal Rumble. It was phenomenal. The fans were screaming. They were into it. Everybody got what they wanted, it looked like. Next up, we had AJ Styles versus the new Daniel Bryan. AJ Styles challenger, Daniel Bryan, the SmackDown Live WWE Champion. This match also had bad placement, I feel like, because everybody was so high off of Becky Lynch winning the Women's Royal Rumble that I felt like after that the energy kind of sunk a little bit and we didn't really get to feel that energy for this match, which is kind of crazy because Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, you would think the fans would be all over it, but apparently some people felt like, you know, we've seen this match a little bit too often and, you know, bad placement on the card, so the fans were really into it, although I thought it was a very good match. Nonetheless, they're going back and forth. This match is great, you know, fans are not into it, but I was into it. Something strange happens. Right when AJ Styles seems to be, you know, doing his thing, the referee gets knocked down. Eric Rowan, who's pretty much came out of oblivion, goes and chokeslams AJ Styles. Daniel Bryan goes for the cover. Daniel Bryan retains. So, I really don't have much to say about Eric Rowan, you know. I honestly didn't really like his run with the Bludgeon Brothers. You know, he got injured, went into oblivion, comes back, inserts himself into this rivalry between AJ and Daniel Bryan. I think maybe we might have a Wyatt family versus, you know, the club rivalry going on. I don't know, because at one point Daniel Bryan was with the Wyatt family. But we'll see where this rivalry is going. I'm trying to give it a shot, so we'll just see how this goes. Next up, we have Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. I was praying. I was on my hands and knees for Finn Balor. I really was. I love Finn Balor, but, you know, I've been feeling super anxious about Finn facing Brock. You know, Brock being this big old beast, this big old monster. I mean, he's manhandled Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, John Cena, Roman Reigns. So I was kind of scared. But nonetheless, Finn Balor, man, he's got so much heart. He's so resilient. And he's so damn pretty. That's an honorable mention. But anyways, Finn was so aggressive. He was doing his thing in this match. He wasn't letting, everybody's fear get to his head. He was in this thing, and he wanted to win. And boy, you can definitely see that. But Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, he seemed to be just too much for Finn. He made Finn tap with the Kimura lock. So there you have it. Brock Lesnar retains the Universal Championship. Yay! But up next we have the Men's Royal Rumble. And starting off the Men's Royal Rumble, we got Elias. Oh man, this was just amazing. I love Elias. I walk with Elias. I don't know how many of you do, but I certainly do. And he had great pants. Great pants. So, number 2, Jeff Jarrett, Double J. It was pretty entertaining to see because Jeff Jarrett, of course, was one of the originals with the guitar gimmicks. He was like a country singer and things like that. So basically, Jeff Jarrett just goes and says, "Hey, why don't we do a duet?" Elias goes, "Sure, this would be an honor." Of course, Elias goes, hits him with his guitar, knocks him out the Royal Rumble. So that didn't last too long. But some honorable mentions in this Royal Rumble. Some NXT boys got into the mix. We had Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, and Aleister Black. Another honorable mention, Kurt Angle came out in this Royal Rumble. R-Truth, who was supposed to be number 30, this didn't work out for R-Truth as we all thought it would. Nia Jax, who performed earlier in the Women's Royal Rumble, beat the crap out of R-Truth and took his spot and enters the Men's Royal Rumble. She was only the 4th woman to enter Men's Royal Rumble, so that was pretty interesting. Basically, Nia was in there to destroy. She went in there strong. She was lifting people up, slamming them. That didn't last too long, of course, because Dolph Ziggler gave her a super kick. Rey Mysterio gave her a 619, and Randy Orton gave her an RKO, and they threw her butt out. So that didn't last too long, but it was great to see Nia in there. She definitely made for an exciting moment. The winner of the Royal Rumble, of course, the architect, Seth Rollins. I called it, baby. He came in, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, but I believe he was number 10. So he lasted pretty long in the Royal Rumble. Kudos to you, architect. So that concludes the Royal Rumble, ladies and gentlemen. But before I close out the video, I would like to say some of the records that were broken at this Royal Rumble event. A lot of these most of these are the women, so I was very proud of the women. This was only their 2nd Royal Rumble, so here we go. I'm going to list the broken records here. Charlotte Flair holds the record for the most single eliminations at 6. Nia Jax holds the record for the most all-time eliminations at 7. Nia Jax also became the 4th overall female to enter Men's Royal Rumble. Natalya, who was the MVP of the Women's Royal Rumble, lasted for 56 minutes, which is a record. Sorry about that, guys. I'm kind of tongue-twisted a little bit. Long day at college. And finally, Liv Morgan holds the record for the quickest elimination in the Royal Rumble at 8 seconds. My, that was a blink of an eye. But there you guys have it. Thank you for joining me. This was Little T WWE Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, thank you guys. Have a happy rest of your Monday.